done a lot of research. I've taken university courses. But up until this time, I mean, when I was a kid, my after-school job was at a museum of natural history. I worked there for 4 years, and I worked with people who are now fairly well-known naturalists who were just getting their start in the business back then.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the I Didn't Read Your Book podcast. I am your host, Lutch, and today, E.A. Meigs, The Dreamer, The Beginning. My first question would be, how interested would you have to be in this time period to really sink your teeth into the story?
I'm not sure you need a special interest in the time period. I think if you're interested in historical fiction, paleofiction, natural history or paleoanthropology, that you would be perhaps maybe a tad more interested. But really, people are people. What people have gone through throughout the eons doesn't really change a whole lot. Our priorities, survival and keeping our families going and everything, have been paramount since day one.
Our main character is Tris. He's the one
Yes.
that has this dream, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us what the dream is about? Is that a spoiler?
The initial dream, he doesn't quite know what he's experiencing, but he just has this extraordinarily vivid dream that he's part of a scene where an animal just explodes out of the brush, and he doesn't know what it means, but he has a sense that something important is about to happen.
So a little bit like a premonition.
Yes.
Is that connected to his eventual journey? We were reading about Pa and
Pa is his father, and his uncle is out hunting with his father at the time that the dream takes place, and he has a sense that this dream involves them. He's a little bit confused, and he just has this.
So sorry to interrupt your podcast experience. I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying what you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you really love it, there's some support links in the description. I would love if you could help out the channel. And back to the show.
Very strong sense of urgency that he has to do something to help them. And so he goes to his father's best friend, Black Wolf, who is one of the Cro-Magnon. And this takes place in France. So it is literally the Cro-Magnon people who were discovered in France at that time. And they go out on this journey together to see what's happened.
France, that's interesting. So you've definitely done, I would imagine, a lot of homework in this area to be historically accurate. Is this something that you have been interested in before writing this, or is writing this a byproduct of being interested in this type of paleo history that you're talking about?
I've done actually a lot of research since I first started writing the books in 2015, because it's an ongoing saga. I'm working on book 7 right now, and I think there's going to be 9 in the series before it's done. But, throughout the years, from the time I started, I've done a lot of research. I've taken university courses. But up until this time, I mean, when I was a kid, my after-school job was at a museum of natural history. I worked there for 4 years, and I worked with some people who are now fairly well-known naturalists who were just getting their start in the business back then. And it was really influential to me. I love nature anyways. My dad was a real outdoorsman, so I was sort of brought up, walking out in the woods with him. Some of my earliest memories of being a preschooler, even, walking out in the woods with my dad and having him show me things and teach me things. And I was always a avid camper. I was always making up some kind of tent and taking it out in the woods. And a plastic sheet or something. It was not a real tent with an old bathroom rug or something, bath mat that I could lay down on. So that was just sort of who I was, what I enjoyed anyways. And I wasn't the typical kid who read typical kid literature. I was always reading books that revolved around the outdoors, particularly a lot of Jack London, Call of the Wild, and that genre.
You live this stuff.
I've always been interested in science and history, and I've always been an avid reader. We didn't have television when I was growing up because of where we lived. There was just no reception and you could have a TV, but you're not going to see a whole lot on it. So I was a reader, and I didn't have a particular interest in the Neanderthal till, I don't know, quite some time ago when they first analyzed Neanderthal DNA. I was reading, I think it was a National Geographic article, and I was kind of surprised to read that at that time, and this is only based on one individual, they discovered that this individual they think was red-haired, light-colored eyes, pale, possibly freckled skin, and gave a general description of their size based on their fossilized remains and all that. And I was like, oh wow, this is just not at all what I imagined. I had heard about the Neanderthal, but I really didn't know anything about them. You see the pictures that came out soon after the discovery where they really look pretty ape-like, and come to find out that really they weren't. They were people. They were just people.